45. Brown, 45. Hot, 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 hot.
You are listening to Any Given Sunday, Australia.
Yes, hello and welcome to the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast, the number one podcast in at least 3 households, 1 studio, American Football Australia head office, Wade, I got it right that time, NFL Australia head office, ABC studios, worldwide, joining us as always in his west wing of his household at Danny Webb, AGSAU.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I didn't ask how you were. I've just kind of stopped thinking. I've got the west wing right, not the left wing. I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah. So once you get your introduction right, that's it then for you for all talking. You sit back and relax, and we got it from here.
I'm done after that. Joining us also for the second time in 2 weeks, which is incredible. Obviously, the Bills are doing pretty well. Bills Mafia man, Charlie Pickering. How are you, big dog?
Very, very well. Yeah, my availabilities really do improve when the Bills have won 5 in a row. That's definitely true. Yeah, feeling good.
Mine usually gets better when the Packers do well as well, but unfortunately, Danny makes me show up every week. So, well, you're laughing at it. You are. Quick shout out to start the show. Friend of the show, Jameson Sheehan. He's actually into the CFL Grey Cup again, which is the Super Bowl of the Canadian Football League, for those that don't know. And he's actually up against another pro-kicked legend, John Haggerty. We haven't had John on the show, but I'm sure if they get the W, we'll chase him down. So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I'm pretty sure we could say, Danny Boy, that that's the Any Given Sunday team after the last few years that we've spoken to Jameson and such. They're taking on the Toronto Argonauts in the CFL Grey Cup this weekend. I'm not sure where we can actually watch it, but check it out if you can, because I know Johnny from Pro Kick got onto me and said that we've got a couple of absolute superstars in this game, Danny.
Yeah, sorry for cutting you off there, but I just want to jump on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We've got to be fans of them when they're this successful as well. Got to jump on that winning team.
Yeah, they've been in. I reckon they've been in the last 2 or 3. Toronto actually won it in 2022. I did see as well. So, Toronto beat Montreal Alouettes, which we have had. Joey Zima, I forgot his name for a second then. Joey Zima's been on the show, so a lot of Australians over in the CFL, so we got to give it a bit of a shout out, especially when it comes to the Super Bowl.
100%, man. 100%.
The Alouettes has to be the most Montreal possible name for a team, too. That's some French-Canadian business going on right there. And I'm just curious.
Did you see when we spoke about them last year, and I gave the Alouettes not very much, and a couple of the Alouettes fans got on and absolutely ripped us, and they were saying French words that we didn't know they were swear words. Sacre
bleu. It has to be said, though, if you were to get fully rumbled by a pack of Alouettes, that would be a very embarrassing situation to find yourself in.
Well, I don't know. What is an Alouette?
Alouette, isn't it? Alouette is a girl's name, isn't it? I thought, I could be wrong, isn't it?
No, let's run with it.
Alouette, je te plumerai. I did a lot of French at school, obviously.
Yeah.
So, it's a very I don't know. I really should look this up. I was busy trying to find out what a blue bomber was. Is it literally just blue bombers, or is it like a bird? It's a plane.
Right.
Oh, really?
It's a plane. So,
and
I figured you being an Essendon bomber, you probably would jump on board.
I just need to make sure it wasn't like a cherished type of eagle or something, or like a falcon or a bird of prey.
It's exactly your team.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
So an alouette though translates to English to lark, which a lark is a small brown bird that sings and flies high in the air.
There we go.
Fair enough. What's the other team? What's an Argonaut?
An Argonaut is like a figure of Greek mythology. They were on Jason and the Argonauts, when Jason, I don't know, he went to get the golden fleece. There you go. That's the story there. So the Argonauts, they were like sailors and warriors.
You have so much better memory than I do. I don't remember all this shit.
I don't remember anything from the age of 18. Yeah. The moment I started drinking, I remember nothing.
Nothing. All right, we've talking too much about Argonauts and Blue Bombers and things like that. Good luck to Jameson and John, I guess. But yeah, Blue Bombers all the way. We'll keep you up to date with that one. A game that was a bit of it was a hard watch. I think everyone around agrees that it was a bit of a hard watch. Danny, and we should have listened to ourselves and stayed away as far as punting when the Dolphins actually got the job done against the Rams. The only thing we should have punted on, we actually picked the Dolphins, and I didn't get on it. So, Danny, what did we do wrong there?
Well, we actually did right because as far as listeners are concerned, and not our little punting club that we got going on, as far as listeners are concerned, we told everyone to stay away from this game. So if anything, we did them a favour and we saved people some money there.
Yeah.
But it was just a massive defensive battle out there. It was quite a tough watch. Neither offense could really get much going for them. Like, I'm pretty sure there was 4 drives in a row that ended within the first set of downs in a turnover. And it was just quite ugly, I guess, football. Great for the defenses. Like, obviously, I always want the defense to show out. But as far as an avid fan watching it at home while on annual leave, I was like, oh, come on, give me some action here. Tyreek Hill did finally break his scoring streak and actually got it done, despite actually playing with torn ligaments in his hand as well. While they actually went out there, it was going to be a game time decision, but still suited up and played and then scored. And the Rams didn't score a touchdown, despite getting 327 scrimmage yards. That hurts. You got to get the job done.
It was Stafford's 50th start for the Rams, and only the second time he hasn't thrown for a TD. So, and Tyreek Hill, Charlie, I reckon you'd like this one. He said he's had his torn ligament since pre-season, but it really flared up when he was arrested.
That's right. That's exactly right. And I think he also said that he was quite affected by the incident. You know, like not just the ligaments, but also I think he was, you know, as you would, a bit psychologically knocked about by the whole thing. But if that's true, that's a great soundbite to get broadcast on the TNF coverage for his lawyers to be able to present at some point when they sue the Miami police department for the incident.
I do feel like it's a little bit of let's throw that in there, and then down the line we'll be like, well, you cost me. I would have had more yards, and I'm going to sue.
I think absolutely. The question is, does that settlement, is that included in the Miami salary cap or not heading forward? You know, if he gets $100 million from the Miami-Dade County, does that affect the cap? Remains to be seen.
That's actually a pretty good. Surely it doesn't, but
no, it doesn't. No, but
I reckon it should.
But as a divisional rival, I say yes, it should.
Yes, it should definitely.
I've got a bone to pick with the Dolphins, though. Terrell Dodson, who is a back formerly of the Bills, plays for the Seahawks. He was released to waivers this week, and the Bills are a bit banged up on defense, and he would have been a good player who knows the scheme to slot in. And the Dolphins, who I think were 3rd or 4th on the waivers list, picked him up. So, a bit of a bone to pick between the Bills and the Dolphins there. So, yeah.
I don't mind a little bit of a divisional rivalry going, you know what? Fuck you. We're going to take your old man.
I admire it. We would do exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Even if they don't play him, they're just picking him up just to leave him so you don't get him. But
that's exactly right.
I like that. And Danny, you wanted to bring up a specific tackle during the game.
Yeah, so as I said, there was a bunch of turnovers throughout this game. One of them was Tua threw an interception while in Rams territory. The player who intercepted was running towards him and decides to tackle him head first to his lower body, to his knee. Like, we're talking about Tua here, who's just had so many weeks off for a concussion protocol, gone to see specialists, doing everything he possibly can to try and get his head right so he can still play football, even though every single professional opinions out there is telling him to just retire and look after your head. What are you doing, mate? Like, I understand you want to stop him getting a pick six, but tackling head first to someone's knee, that ain't going to get the job done.
No.
Particularly, did you guys hear the story? You know, did we talk about this actually? Maybe we did. This is my memory is no good. But that Deion Dawkins from the Bills, you know, when he got the concussion the first time around, opposition players are calling out, slide, get down to him. Like, whenever he runs, the opposition players are worrying about his well-being. It's just it's not a safe workplace at all.
Nah, I do agree, Danny boy. Don't be, fair enough, go in there and try and tackle, but don't be throwing your head in there. Like you said, you've just missed 4 games. You've come off your 2nd or 3rd pretty serious concussion. I mean, maybe let's watch the 6 points is 6 points, but fuck, let's watch the noggin first, I reckon.
Yeah, and Tua has come out saying that was poor tackling form, which anyone watching can tell that's poor tackling form. And then had a go at the player. He's like, why didn't you just run out of bounds? Why'd you make me tackle you?
Oh, don't.
Why'd you throw an interception?
Yeah.
That's it. Don't throw to your opposition. You don't have to tackle them. That's probably the main thing. I do love out of that little bit that, Charlie, you could turn anything in. You're a bit like me. I can turn anything into a Packers story. You just, somehow. Remember that Bills player? Yeah, let's talk about the Bills.
Word I'm getting out of
anything.
Buffalo is,
And we love that. We love the boots on the Buffalo boots on the ground. Nothing
Yeah.
better. But while you're here and you're becoming more of a regular guest, I'm going to have to start clipping you the way I clip TMac and tell him to take his Packers hat off every now and then.
Oh, yeah, right. No worries.
I literally wear the Packers hat. I wear the Packers hat every week. I just wear it backwards to protect the hairline. But it's been a little bit of a slow news week. So the only real story, but we've got 3 massive games that we're going to talk about. But the biggest news story and the only real news story comes out of the Bears. And this makes me very happy to talk about with that Packers hat on. They've moved on from offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. They've done this after a pretty shit, lackluster performance. 19-3 lost to the Patriots. It's 3 weeks in a row that they didn't throw an offensive TD, and 2 of the last 3 weeks they lost to the 2nd and 3rd round draft picks behind Caleb Williams. Charlie, what do you reckon, mate? Is it just blow up the Browns?
Yeah, I mean, obviously firing the OC is the thing you do right before the coach gets fired. Like it's the last shot in the locker for Eberflus to try and do something. There's no way Eberflus is coaching this team beyond the end of the season. The only awkward thing is if you like who's going to coach them when they get rid of Eberflus is the challenge.
It's not really a wanted position.
Yeah, there's also you watch them play. Caleb Williams, obviously, like you say, hasn't scored a touchdown in 3 weeks. Has been lackluster. They have not protected him at all. He is getting hit hard all the time. And you even sense a lack of cohesion there on the offense and a lack of support for each other. Clips being shared on social media of his O-line not helping him up off of the ground. It's the offense D-line that are helping him up after he's been crunched. It's like his team aren't backing him. And that has to come back to coaching and culture. There's obviously so much wrong from the top down there that team is just not playing together in any way whatsoever. There's some good talent on that team. There was a lot of talk about how this was going to be a year where the Bears could be competitive, and they've had flashes of playing some good football. We've never heard that about the Bears before, but this was the year. But it's, they've got a good roster, but there's nothing going on from a coaching point of view.
Just on that, Caleb Williams has only got 2,021 total yards so far this season. Our Aussie over there, punting, has actually punted more yards than Caleb Williams has thrown. So he's on 2,153 total yards, and that's our man, Torrey Taylor.
That's huge. I was about to bring that up and say you sent me a photo, which, again, made me very, very happy to see, an Aussie doing well, but, geez, the Bears, they sucked. And it was so much hype. 4-2, they were saying the Bears are going to make the playoffs. They're going to run through the North. They're going to be the only team that can really challenge the Lions. But they really have shown the Bears being the Bears. And there's a fair chance that they just fall away from here and end up, what are they, 4-5 now? They could be 4-10 very, very soon. They got the Packers this week, so I'm pretty happy with them blowing each other up. Although I don't want a new coach or new OC bounce. That would be no good for me.
Yeah, normally it's just the head coach that gets a new coach bump. So I think you might be safe with the new OC. And the new OC was promoted from internal. I think it was the passing coordinator. Thomas Brown has been pushed up into that role. So it's not like, you necessarily bringing someone else in that, everyone wants to really perform in front of. And like Charlie's saying, I don't think it really has to do too much with the coaching. It's more the continuity within that side. And some of the stuff that Caleb Williams came out and said very early on, maybe people are remembering.
Yep. Like I said, nothing makes me happier. So it'll be interesting to see how they go in the next 2 or 3 weeks, whether they do change things around or if it's just the same old Bears. And I've had a few messages of Bears fans from the family that follow us, and they said everything just happens like this when you go for the Bears. So I'm glad none of us do. Like I said, we've got 3 massive games that I've picked. I couldn't whittle it down to 2, so I said, fuck it, let's go with 3. Danny boy, you've got the first one. It's the 7-3 Commanders at your 7-2 Eagles. Your Eagles have a 3.5 They're favoured by 3.5, and it is the battle to pretty much lead the NFC East. And I'm surprised you're actually second in the NFC now, because if playoffs were to play today, the Packers are 7th. So we would be playing you guys if playoffs were to start right today. 59% of people are on your Eagles at $1.55, Danny boy.
Yeah, so the Eagles and Vic Fangio have really turned their defense around since our bye week. They're now ranked second in the league for total defense, and actually first since week 6, so first since that bye. That bye, at the start of the season, I was like, that came at the worst time. That is too early. But then we came out with like pretty damn terrible to begin with, especially on the defensive end of the ball, and then just completely switched it, which is huge. The Commanders are 14th in total defense. They're 5th in passing, but 28th in rushing. And that's where this game is going to get really interesting. Probably not what you want when you're facing Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. Like a double-headed, similar to the Ravens earlier in the year, which is interesting because the Commanders lost to the Ravens earlier in the year, one of their 3 losses. And then Eagles have won 5th straight since their bye, and they're finally looking like they're playing championship football again. I said all of last year when we went on that massive winning streak, they didn't look good. I reckon they're finally starting to look good again, and look kind of how they did for that little Super Bowl run when we went up to lose to the Chiefs because the refs. Hurts is just actually dominating again. So he's got 16 touchdowns, 8 in the air, 8 on the ground. And then this week he can join Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers in the only NFL players in history to have a passer rating of 115 or higher in 6 consecutive games. I don't really understand how you get a passer rating, full stop. But, like, you know, if you're getting your name put up next to those 2 guys, that's a good stat. Barkley loves playing against the Commanders, highest scrimmage yards and touchdowns compared to any other opponent throughout his career. And the offense, Eagles offense, is finally looking back to like its full strength, which is all amazing as an Eagles fan. But as you know, if you listen to this podcast, I've got a huge crush on the Commanders, a team that you don't want to have a crush on, especially if they're in your division. They are coming out against a really tough loss against the Steelers. They need to really look at preventing some of the bigger plays, because that's where Russell Wilson kind of picked them apart, was getting some long bombs down the field. And after that, they lost so much yardage and they couldn't really come back from that. But I think now going up against this Eagles defense, now we've finally got it all on lock. They just need to be pretty much perfect on offense. And I think the only way that the Commanders are going to get this job done is if they're scoring like 30-plus points. You got Jaden Daniels, who's a rookie QB, who's just come out and looked amazing. He really, really has. But now you're coming out against a Vic Fangio-led defense who's like going to really try and plan to pick you apart. It's just going to be a really interesting battle for this NFC East.
Wow. Charlie, do you have anything to add to that?
No. Well, I only had a little bit of trivia, and this is courtesy of the NFL Daily podcast, that according to them, Eagles and the Commanders have played 180 times, and this is their first TNF game. So they've never played Thursday night primetime against each other. So there's a sense of occasion about that. I just thought that was an interesting bit of trivia. It's also, though, where we find these 2 teams is a bit special historically, or like in recent history. It's like the first time in almost 25 years that they both come in with a plus 500 winning record for the season when they play each other. So it's been a long time since the Commanders have been competitive with the Eagles, and it does promise to be a good game. I do think it comes down to Fangio just putting a cap on the receivers for, you know, if Terry McLaurin can get loose or not. I don't know. The Philly defense, I think, is going to probably make the difference, and it depends what ground game, you know, the Commanders can have assisting that.
The fact that it's at home as well, I think, really bodes well for Philly, because like that crowd is their 12th man. Like, you know, that crowd gets so far behind them at all times. Then knowing that they're facing the Commanders, which now are a divisional rival because they're right at the top with us, I think that will play a massive part in it. How
did the Commanders travel in the division? Do they? Because it's not that far from DC to Philly. You can get there on a train pretty quickly. Do you think a lot of the Commanders are going to show up?
Yeah, the fact that it is close, I think they're definitely going. It's not like you're traveling from one side of the country to the other. It's not going to be like a massive home and away advantage in that sense. I was more talking about the crowd itself.
Yeah.
The Eagles,
Drunk and violent.
You
That's
do
what I'm saying.
pack
Drunk and
out
violent
your
in
stadium,
Philadelphia.
so.
There's some violent fans out there.
Yeah, but you do pack the stadium out and you're very loud, much like the Bills, so I can't imagine that you'd be disadvantaged in that way. Last time you mentioned the Ravens destroyed them, and it was the running game that absolutely... I think they put 40 up on the Commanders, and it was largely due to King Henry and Lamar destroying the Commanders. So Barkley could be pretty big here for you boys, like you said, Danny.
Yeah, we'll get to it later when we start talking about what we potentially might be looking at for bets wise, but it'll either be him or Hurts. They're going to destroy them on the ground one way or another.
Or both.
Or both.
Yeah. Could be both. All right, you've had your little 5-minute spiel. I'm going to cut in between you because the last game is the Bills and the Chiefs. So I'll come in there just to try and break you two boys up from talking too much shit. We've got the 7-3 Ravens with a -3.5 against the 7-2 Steelers. I love this game because the Steelers, I think, have surprised a lot of people with how well they're actually doing. Defensive side of the ball, no one's surprised, but Wilson coming in since everyone was a bit up and about since Fields went out, thinking is Wilson actually the one they want to go with. It's a free play because they're not paying for him anyway. So, and he has come out and he's done really well. He's put up, I think it was 27 against the Commanders or 28 against the Commanders last week. He set records in his first week. So the Steelers, and this is their first divisional game. We've got 8 weeks to go and they've got 6 divisional games in that 8 weeks. So I'm excited to see how they actually go against the might of King Henry. Like you said, it's all about their rushing game. Danny, you said a couple of weeks ago, if Henry gets 90-plus yards, they win. And I think every time he hasn't got 90 yards, they've lost. So unless this week, I don't think he had heaps, but it was an anomaly this week. It was just a crazy game against the Bengals. But 61% of people were on the Ravens at $1.58. I reckon it should be a little bit closer. These Steelers defense, especially their rushing defense, is enormous. So I think Lamar might have to air the ball out a little bit more if they are going to win. I wouldn't be surprised if they can hold Henry, but Lamar can come out and put a bit more in the air. He showed in the second half, especially against the Bengals, that he can still air it out. He had, I think, 40 yards in the first half and 240 in the second. He can still air it out. So we're not going to be surprised with what the Ravens bring, but the Steelers their defense. We're not going to be surprised. It's still about their offense, what Russell Wilson can do, and can they put up enough against a pretty solid defense of the Ravens. The only 2 times they've been blown out against the Cincinnati Bengals. So maybe they do have the number 1 rush defense. Charlie, do you think that Russell Wilson has enough in the air to trouble the Ravens?
It's interesting. I've been so surprised at how well Russell Wilson has played since he stepped in as quarterback. And last week, he didn't just run it. He didn't just make a lot of big explosive plays last week. They were coming from behind. They were have to make it plays. And I think everyone was surprised that they came back as well as they did and won that game. It was they've been a great team all season, but they didn't look like it early in the game. So I do think there's a chance. I think, the Steelers are a surprise this year of just how good they are. They're good at stopping the run. They could maybe keep Henry down a bit, maybe even just limit those 80-yard touchdown runs that he seems to pick up all the time, particularly against the Bills. But I will say this. Watching the Bengals game, I think, Lamar's passing game has come on enormously in the last 2 years, but under pressure, he is still not good. Under pressure, his best chance is escaping the pocket and running. So if you can set an edge and contain him, I think he gets frazzled, and it still remains to be seen under a lot of pressure in the pocket if he can maintain a good passing game. And you've got TJ Watt all over him. And so I just think that's going to make it interesting. If they can contain the run, even just stop the explosive runs, give them, 4s, 5s, 6, 7s, even if they keep them to that and they can put pressure on Lamar, I think that's the key to this for the Steelers. And that's what I told Mike Tomlin.
Did you see, though, Lamar a couple of times in the game, he didn't take off? It looked like I don't know if he was a little bit under an injury cloud or something. There was 2 or 3 times against the Bengals that he had open space and he actually stopped at the line of scrimmage and passed it instead.
Yeah. So, but like you say, the reason for that, you're not sure, not entirely sure of. And it might have been that the Bengals front was just had him a little spooked as well. Because that was a tough day at the office for everyone. Like he threw some incredible passes and that's how they got there in the end. But I do think you still have to see him consistently pass under pressure when he's really facing a tough pass rush.
Danny boy, you still putting money on Henry even against this to score a touchdown against this really elite rush defense?
Well, when he's got 10 in his first over 10 games or whatever it was, he's got one every single game, is what I'm trying to say. At this point, when he's got one every single game, how do you not just throw him in there every now and then? But yeah, I think I couldn't agree more with Charlie that the TJ Watt is probably the major factor here. If he can put enough pressure and set that edge and get into Lamar, he probably is going to be throwing at the line of scrimmage if he's not rushing himself. And then if he's throwing quicker and probably not as calculated, could force some mistakes.
I just had some injury update as well. Looks like Highsmith might be out for the Steelers, which is big on their defensive side. He's come in the last few weeks and really allowed TJ to, be more aggressive. So if he is out, that could be a big factor going into the game. Just I think he's a game time decision, so one to keep an eye on for sure. But I don't think we actually got a tip in the last one. We'll do it all at the end because we've already skipped past it. The last game, the 9-0 Chiefs versus your 8-2 Bills. We do have a time limit, Charlie, so make sure we stick to that. Your Bills have a 1.5 point favourites, which is huge, and 54% of people are actually on you guys at $1.76. So interesting game.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have said it. I like the 1.5 line, tough game.
I think that's entirely home field advantage. Like I think that's the 1.5 is just home field. That's all it is. And the 9-0 Chiefs are, a lot of people say, one of the more rickety 9-0 teams they've ever seen, but they're still the Chiefs and they have won every time. They know how to win. It's interesting. A lot of even in Buffalo Bills circles, everyone's saying, "Oh, we can lose and it doesn't matter. It's in the season. It's only the playoffs against the Chiefs." And that's kind of true in the Mahomes-Allen era, which is what we're living in at the moment. If you weren't aware, it's just the Mahomes-Allen era in NFL football. But the Bills are 3-1 in season and 0-3 in the playoffs with the Chiefs. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do take care of the Chiefs, and I don't think it means anything relative to the season. But while a lot of people and all of the promotional advertising and everything is going to focus on Mahomes and Allen, I think the story is going to be the defense of these two teams because they're actually two defenses that, despite a few injuries, are playing really well. And I think they are the defenses that are keeping teams in it. And I think more than passing, it's going to be how the rush offenses perform. The Bills' rushing offense with Cook, Davis, and Ty Johnson, who needs to get talked about more as a really great third back in their running back room. They're a very potent, effective running outfit, and they've had a great season. And on the Chiefs side of things, Pacheco, I think, is coming out of IR. They're not sure if he's going to return this week or not. But the Bills have been stopping the run really well this week. Against the Colts, if you take out one explosive play that Jonathan Taylor had that only got them a field goal in the end, they kept him to like 2.8, 3 yards a carry or something like that. And they've been effective at stopping the run all season except the Ravens game. So if the Bills defense stands up, I do think they have a good chance. We're missing Keon Coleman as wide receiver, which is a bit of a problem because there's a chance Amari Cooper is back, which is great. Mac Hollins actually stepped up and played an amazing game with the Colts. He's our highest touchdown scorer this year, which is incredible.
Yeah,
and he's blocking. He's doing everything Mac Hollins. Everyone loves him. But without Keon Coleman, I think, Spags can really target the Bills receivers a bit more. We kind of need one more in there making a difference. But at the same time with the Chiefs, DeAndre Hopkins had some big catches early on, but also Mahomes and Hopkins haven't quite got in a rhythm yet. See if that happens this week. And I think Isaiah Likely, there's an injury cloud over him as well. He hasn't really performed that well. So it could be the receiver problems continue for the Chiefs. So it's close. It'll be a defensive game in the end, I reckon.
Isaiah Likely, he's a Ravens. Where are you pulling him from?
Oh, sorry. No, what's his name? Worthy. Sorry, Xavier Worthy.
Xavier Worthy, yeah.
Sorry,
Exact same player when you look at it.
No, it's just people with an adjective for a surname confuse me. So, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Danny Boy, any thoughts on this game, mate?
Exactly what Charlie's saying. It's going to be a defensive battle. I know I'm jumping the gun here, but I am tipping the Bills to take this one. We said it very, very early on when we're looking at the Chiefs' schedule. Like, realistically, when are they going to lose, potentially? And I was like, at Buffalo against the Bills is probably the one. It's probably the week that we picked. And as much as it is going to be a defensive battle, it's probably the Bills. With the way the Chiefs played last week and only just getting the job done with a blocked field goal against the Broncos, they're a shaky 9-0 team at this point. And yes, they will probably lock in and get together right before the playoffs and play really well. That's fine. But at the moment, they're not there yet. So yeah, I'm going to take the Bills on this one.
There is
Charlie, we know you're taking the Bills.
But just one tiny thing on that point. That's a good detail. Bills lead the league in takeaways. Like, they've got more interceptions than anyone else. Mahomes is actually throwing a lot of interceptions this season. And on the other side of the ball, Josh Allen, the interception machine, has the lowest interceptions of any quarterback in the league. And he is playing, and even the 3 interceptions he has, I've watched the tape. 2 of them were not his fault. Murray could have slipped over on one of them. Keon Coleman had popped up off his chest. There's one that he misread coverage and threw an interception. But I think that's it. Josh Allen is protecting the ball in a way that he never has before, and the Bills are taking it away. And I think that could be what it comes down to.
Yeah. I think everyone has said, the 9-0 Chiefs, Mahomes is having statistically his worst season ever, yet they're 9-0. It's going to be a classic game. I hope it's the game, that we had 2 or 3 years ago where it was just all-out offense. We don't want to see too much defense. Let's be serious about it.
Yeah.
I do think, sorry to be devil's advocate, Charlie, I do think the Chiefs are the kind of team, they'll be up and about for this game. They love these kind of games. This isn't a game they're going to drop, I don't think. Not this year. It's the game. They're going to play the Raiders in 2 weeks and they'll get fucking smashed. That's the game that they're going to drop this 9-0. So I reckon they will come out and they'll beat you. They should have lost to the Broncos last week. I reckon different story if they did lose to them, then they'll go and lose to you. But this isn't a team that they're going to lose these kind of games. It'll be the shit games you saw. They should win by 100 and they'll get smashed. So I do think the Chiefs will win this week. The other games we should also talk about. Ravens, Steelers, Danny Boy, who you got?
I've got the Ravens for this one. Just think that the Steelers not playing any divisional games yet, not playing against necessarily like opponents that match up perfectly against them. I think the Ravens are one of those sides, and that 2-headed beast is probably going to get it done.
Charlie?
I'm going to take Steelers. It's actually just a personal thing. I've underestimated them all season, and I'm just tired of being proven wrong.
No, I like it. I'm actually going to get on the Steelers too. I reckon they can stop the only time that looks like the Ravens have had a chance of losing is when Derrick Henry is stopped. So I agree with that one. Danny Boy, we know who you're taking. Charlie, Eagles or Commanders?
Eagles are going to get it done.
Yeah, I think so too. And they'll go into second spot in the NFC, which you'll be pretty happy about, Danny, I'm sure. We'll start off, Danny. You've got the AGS bet this week. Like you said, we're 7 from 10. So who's going to come out and upset before we get onto our little multi that we do have on your game for the Friday morning game, I should say?
So it was a really tough week to pick any given Sunday bet. So obviously we go out and we try and pick a roughie, someone who's got worse odds than the other to get up and get the job done. I thought I had a little sniff at the Bears against the Packers.
No. Too stupid.
Firm no on that one. But then looking through, like the teams that are favorites for a reason in a lot of these games. So the one I've actually gone with is the Sunday night football game is the Bengals at the Chargers. The Bengals are actually the underdogs here in this one. Yes, it's only just, but they're still an underdog, so it counts as an any given Sunday pick. I'm picking the Bengals because they're on a little bit of form, and I reckon they can probably get the job done. I think the only reason the Chargers are favourites is because at home, but I reckon Joey B is gonna get the job done in LA.
The Chargers are also the best scoring defense. I think it's only 12 or 13 points a game they're allowing. So this will be an interesting lineup. They did flex this game into Sunday Night Football like 2 weeks ago. So it could be a good one. I like that little pick. What are they paying, Danny? What are you?
I think you can get them at $2.05.
Oh no, that's over $2. That counts. That counts. I
Over
was going to say like
$2.
$1.87. I was going to say you're a coward. But no, I like it. $2 Herbert hasn't fired as well as I would like this season. I really love Herbert as a QB, but Harbaugh's come in and said, "No, mate, we're winning this shit on defense," and they have. So I like it. We do have a multi on this game, me and you, Danny. We know, Charlie, you're not the biggest punter in the world, so we're going to stick you to the side. Mm-hmm. It's on your game. I'll talk about the multi, Danny. You've got another little side bet that we're going to do. We've gone pretty simple. Hurts for 25 yards. Barkley loves this. He's going to dominate this game. So we've got him scoring a TD and over 109.5 rushing and receiving yards. But Terry McLaurin on the other side, we reckon someone's got to get the football. And he's only a 4.5 receptions as his overs. So we reckon he's going to get that. That's paying $5.75 on Sportsbet. So get around that one. I like it. You've got another little side bet that we're going to have.
Yeah, just quickly on the receptions, because I know I keep on flogging on about how good the Eagles defense are. But CeeDee Lamb still got 6 receptions last week, and their tight end got 4. So, and that was with Cooper Rush and Trey Lance throwing to him. So, there's still those receptions to get. So that's why we still like that bet. But the other one that we're looking at is doing a little ladder with Saquon Barkley because he loves playing against the Commanders and the Commanders defense is so poor. Is looking at a rushing receiving ladder. So jumping on at 125 yards and 150 yards, but obviously dropping down your units as we go along.
Yep. Good. So only probably that 150. You're only looking at a quarter unit. So don't go too crazy. But if it does come off, you'll be happy, man. So, all right, boys. Huge weekend. Some absolutely cracking games that we didn't even mention. That's how big the 3 games that we did talk about. My Packers are going to get the job done against the Bears, and I'll come in next week. Absolutely cherry ripe. Good luck to you two boys. Final words, Charlie?
Go Bills.
Leave it on that. I like it.